Let's pray. Lord, thank you for giving us this blustery day to remind us of how grateful we are for everything that you've given us. Lord, we ask that you bless this fellowship around the table, that it would build and strengthen relationships. And Lord, that you would bless this food and those hands that have prepared it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ray. And now if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now Tom and Nancy.
Let's do it.
With fine help, let's all sing side by side.
Well, first I want to apologize for that horrible program I gave last week. That's the worst program I've ever given in my life. But I got what I deserved. I learned a lesson. And I'm glad Jerry's here to hear it. I actually called him after. I will never make fun of anybody else having trouble with audio visuals. But anyway, in spite of that, thanks to you, we raised $1,420 for polio.
Hope sent an email later, there was another 150, so I think the total is now 1,580.
That's even better.
I got a guess. Introduce me.
Sorry, I should have got the rest of my guess.
So I want to introduce, and most of you probably know her, Dr. Dee Stokes. Dr. Stokes is now our director of the Small Business Center, so we're excited to have her on board there at the college, and we look forward to work closely with a lot of you in the room and help out. So please welcome Dee Stokes.
Yeah.
Dee, welcome back.
Thank you.
And I know we have at least one other visitor. Any other visitors? Diane, would you like to invite your visitor? Would you like to introduce?
I have my husband Tony with me.
A couple of Rotarians we haven't seen in a while. We have to introduce visitors.
Milton's here.
And Milton is here, who is a prospective member for Communities and Schools of Thomasville. It's good to have you back again. I didn't see you soon. Sorry about that. I got excited about announcements. Other announcements. Dave?
Yeah, I got a call from Tommy Ballard about 30 minutes ago, and he wanted me to share with you that he did have colon cancer. He had surgery last Wednesday. They took out 30 nodes. They were all negative. All the surrounding tissues were negative for cancer, so it looks like he hit a home run with that. He's doing fine. He says he's actually working at home. He feels like a mule kicked him in the belly. Other than that, he's good. So he wanted me to tell you that he's extremely optimistic that it's great. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Dave also wanted to draw your attention to the announcement that Joe Bennett has been moved to hospice care. So if you would please hold him and his family in your prayers. Other announcements. Yes. So tomorrow night is our Women in Rotary Happy Hour. So I encourage all the women in the room to come and to bring guests. It's a great opportunity for us to introduce other women in our community to the Rotary family. And split the pot. Carl. Carl's making his way out here. I remember one other thing I wanted to highlight. And that is that the Rotary Foundation banquet is next Thursday night. And we still need 2 more Rotarians or Rotarian guests to attend. All right? 2 more.
I need to know their names today.
Need to know the names today.
Please volunteer.
Please volunteer, so Ken doesn't have to volunteer.
Okay.
What do we got, Carl?
All right, the total pot is $2,253, which the 50/50 will be $1,126.50. And you want to draw the card?
What's your number, David?
Here you go. So the winning number is 368790. There you go.
Here, I hope you do.
Oh, no.
Play another week.
Right color.
Right color.
Exciting week for us to be able to invite another Rotarian into the fold. So Michael, if you will come up. The board approved Michael Brandt's application to Rotary, and we didn't seem to find any objections here, so we are thrilled to have you being inducted today. So, Michael Brandt, you've been chosen to membership in the Rotary Club of Thomasville because your fellow members believe you to be a leader and because you manifest those qualities of head and of heart which fit you to interpret and impart the message of Rotary to those with whom you come into contact. We expect much from you in help and inspiration, which will enable us to be better Rotarians. And with this hope, we most heartily offer you Rotary Fellowship. Michael, I wish to impress upon you that you have been admitted not only to the Rotary Club of Thomasville, but to a worldwide association. And by virtue of your membership in this club, you'll be welcome to the fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it duties and obligations. You'll be expected to attend club meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talent at the disposal of the club in its task of carrying the principles of Rotary into the daily life of our community. The community will know and judge Rotary for your embodiment of it in character and service, and we accept you as a member because we believe our principles and organization to be safe in your keeping. Members, if you'll please rise. Michael Brandt, it is my distinct pleasure, in the name of the Rotary Club of Thomasville, to now formally admit you to membership in this club. Fellow Rotarians, I commend to you, our newest member, Rotarian Michael Brandt, who has been loaned the title of club member, and request all of you to welcome him. And now, Michael, if you will share a 3-minute bio on yourself. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I don't normally, in an occupation like city manager, get applause very often, so I appreciate it. And I will say that the hardest part was I had to learn to dance, apparently, so I'm supposed to do that at the end of this bio. That's what Eddie said I had to do. Correct, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't pulling my way. Thank you very much for inviting me to join Rotary. I do tend to take a position that any group that wants to have me as membership is not someone that I want to be a member of. But I have been attending your Rotary meetings now for the last 5 years as guests, and I felt that it's finally appropriate that I should become a member, because I do believe in the 4-way test, as well as a spouse, the things that I try to do in my personal life and my professional life, serving the community in Thomasville. For those who don't know me, I have been in Thomasville for about 5 years. I was hired as the assistant city manager in 2018, and I became the city manager in December of 2020, and have been leading ever since that point. Before that, I was a city manager in Mayodan, which is up in Rockingham County. Small town, but it's actually very similar to Thomasville in its history. And then, even before then, I was working in the town of Summerfield in Guilford County. So I seem to be working my way through the triad. It's not really an intentional move, but I have to work this out. My family lives in the Greensboro area. I've been married for 31 years to my wife, Tracy. We met in college at the University of South Carolina. And we have 2 grown adult boys, or men, that I'm very proud of. Both are actually graduating this year, one from associate's degree and one with master's degree from Lynn. I came to public service because I thought, growing up in Washington, D.C. area, that I was going to be in the civil service and specifically the foreign service. And so I went off to school at South Carolina to get a degree in international relations. And I learned an awful lot about Eastern Europe, including Ukraine and Russia and things of that nature, which I then completely didn't use until just last year when we started to have issues there. But what I found was that my interest was in local government, and I attended, after I finished at the University of South Carolina, my wife and I moved to New Orleans, and I went to school at the University of New Orleans for a master's degree in urban regional planning. After I finished that in 1989, I moved back to the East Coast and to North Carolina specifically, and worked with the jobs I've had. The ideals of Rotary, I think, are espoused in the ideals of what we try to do as a city. We try to be truthful to our constituents. We try to be fair to all concerned. We do what's in the best interest of all involved, and we try to do it equally to everyone. So I do thank you for allowing me to join your membership, and I look forward to seeing you every Wednesday. Thank you.
And now for the interpretive dance.
He's gonna sing. I wouldn't show him how well I forgot.
And now David Williams is going to introduce our speaker, who is well known to us and always good to be happy here.
Before I introduce the program, I want to tell you, Tony Hyde, raise your hand. Tony grew up in Andrews, North Carolina. Friday night, Andrews, which is close to Murphy, it's not Andrews in High Point, is coming to Thomasville to play
Thank you, David. Sure is good to be back to the Thomasville Club. It's been a while.
So,
Good to be here. Good to be here. Before I begin talking about the foundation, how many of you have gotten emails from me about the Thanksgiving program on November 17th? All right, all the hands that went up, let's register to attend. You can attend, you can invite as many guests as you want. We have some that will bring some of our office staff to the program. It is an extraordinarily strong, uplifting program as we enter the Thanksgiving and Christmas time. And this year's speaker, I have listened to some of her speeches online. You will be thoroughly engaged with her story. So it's from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. If you have difficulty registering online, just let me know and I'll register. I just need to know the total number of people involved that will be attending. A little bit about the Rotary Foundation. It's a passion of mine and has been. The Rotary Foundation is what separates us from the other service organizations that are around. They're all fine service organizations, but it's the Rotary Foundation that gives the power to the clubs to do what we do in our communities and around the world. Now, it had a rather auspicious beginning. In 1917, at the Atlanta International Convention, the president of Rotary International, Art Plum, announced at the end of the conference the establishment of a foundation. The first contribution, for those who have heard the story, do you recall what it was?
$26.50.
Your answer almost doesn't count. I should have told you. Don't answer. Yes, $26.50. And the foundation didn't really move forward much until Paul Harris died. And then, in memory of him, over $1 million was raised. Honoring him for what he has done with Rotary. Last year, given that auspicious beginning, last year, the annual fund, and I'll go into the types of funds here in a minute, the annual fund raised $140.2 million for an all-time total of $3.2 trillion, that's with a billion, dollars. We've come a long way. The endowment fund, which I'll go into also, has raised $47 million last year and now has $494 million in it. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of the history of the Thomasville Club. For the new members, be proud of what this club has done. And sometimes we need a reminder when we've been in the club for a while, sometimes we need a reminder of what we mean to our community. Thomasville Rotary Club has meant a whole heck of a lot in the city of Thomasville. No doubt about it. We were chartered on April 1st, 1922. Does anybody know who chartered you? Who the sponsoring club was? Yeah. You're the success story for the sponsorships of Rotary clubs. think we sponsored 3 more. One folded, no, actually 2 folded, one is struggling. You all have really come forward and been a really strong force. The past giving, the all-time giving of the Thomasville Rotary Club to the Rotary Foundation is $598,000. Giving last year, you had 16. David, you mentioned 15. I counted it up. It's 16 Paul Harris Society members. And this is pretty fantastic. At 16 Paul Harris Society members represent 16% of this club. That's one of the highest percentages of Paul Harris Society members in the district. And you should be congratulated for that. What is the Paul Harris Society? It's where a member gives $1,000 per year. And there are a number of creative ways of accomplishing that. And I'll go into that in a little bit. The mission of the Rotary Foundation is to help members advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace by improving people's health, providing quality education, protecting the environment, and alleviating poverty. There are 7 avenues of service that Rotary and Rotary Foundation focus on. Peace building and conflict resolution, basic education and literacy, disease prevention and treatment. Here's the biggie: water, sanitation, and hygiene. Most of the global grants that were awarded prior to 2013 when the structure of the foundation changed, most of the grants went to water projects. Think about it. Without water, you're in a heap of trouble, and that creates issues elsewhere in your society. Community and economic development, maternal and child health, and then there's a new one, just put in 2 years ago, supporting environment. All global grants, these are the big grants, these are the minimum of $30,000, most of them in the 150 to 200,000. There are some that go through as high as $1 million. But all the global grants must fit into one of those 7 areas of service. And when you think about it, it's not difficult to get a grant that fits into one of those. In fact, most grants probably fit into more than one. Now, district grants, which I'll also go into in a little bit. The district grants, from Rotary International's perspective, does not need to meet those areas of service. Our district, District 7690, felt so strongly that since Rotary felt this way about global grants, they're going to do it with the district grants. District grants focus on the local community, and so they wanted to make sure that that fit into that category also. Now, one of the programs that is very strong for me beyond polio is Peace Centers. Rotary District 7690 is one of the peace districts in Rotary International. Rotary developed a program along with colleges and universities on peace building. There is 2 levels. So there's one that's a master's course, and that's a 2-year course. And then there's a professional development program award, which is a 1-year program. There are 50 in the master's program and 80 in the professional program. It's very small. I can't tell you how many thousands of people apply for all these grants each year. We are fortunate this year in our district to have a piece who is in the master's program. There are 6 schools and universities around the world that are certified by the Rotary Foundation to be part of this program. International Christian University in Tokyo, University of Bradford, West Yorkshire, England, University of Queensland in Queensland, Australia, Uppsala University in Sweden, Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, and then the strangest one, Duke and the University of North Carolina. Now,
We always get along.
if they get along, it's both this world yet. There used to be one out in California, but they Rotary International came from that one. Now, a student who has applied and has been awarded a spot in the peace program must go to school in another country. For instance, the student that we had this year could not, probably would not want to go to Duke University of North Carolina. So he is in Tokyo, and he's got a blog on the internet, and it is fascinating. I've met him, I've heard him speak at another Rotary Club. This fellow is truly a top-notch ambassador for Rotary and for the United States. And he's got a blog online, and I've got it. If anybody is interested in getting that and following this young man, it is amazing. He is truly a super individual. Now, let's go into the breakdown of the funds. I had mentioned the annual fund and so forth. The annual fund share, this is the fund that in 3 years, money that you give this year, in 3 years, 50% of that comes back to the district. The other 50% goes to the World Fund, Rotary Foundation. Now, out of that money that comes back, the district uses it, and some of it, and then also that money comes back to the club to do local projects. You got 2 this year that you're doing. This puts that money at the heart of where things happen, and that's at the club level. And you saw a fair amount this year and to do these 2 projects. Then we have a number of in our district who have a strong desire on this Peace Scholarship program. We have one who became an arch crumble member. We go into that a little bit. Arch Clump is a level of giving that starts at $250,000 and goes up to over $1.5 million. we have 2 living Arch Lawn Society members in our district. And all told, I think we've had 4. One of the ones that's currently living has a solid, strong feeling towards the peace program. So he gave his money, and he gave it while he was still alive, to the endowment fund. That is the fund where none of the income is spent. It's only the dividends and income and interest on it. The principal is never invaded. And so his 250 went to this program, and he is now participating in those scholarships for these students. There are a couple of levels in the annual fund that I want to go into. You have sustaining member, which is $100 per year. And the Thomasville Club is 100% sustaining member club. That's what every member gives a minimum of $100. Then there's a split and much misunderstood difference between Paul Harris Fellow and Paul Harris Society. I remember when I was district governor, I attended a meeting, president's meeting up in the Madison Bay Ann area. And I was going into the Paul Harris Society, promoting it. One of the presidents raised their hand. He said, "We're 100% Paul Harris Society." And I said, "Good, I've got the applications for those members to fill out." He was confusing Paul Harris Society with Paul Harris Fellow. Paul Harris Fellow is a one-time $1,000 donation. That can be done any number of ways. Some clubs split it, the member pays $500, the club gives either points or cash to make the other $500. Now, it varies. Clubs do it in different ways, but it's one time $1,000. And the points that I refer to, every dollar that you give to the Rotary Foundation, you get 1 point. Those points, once you accumulate them, anything past 100 points, you can transfer those points to somebody else to help them become a Paul Harris Fellow. And that's a good way. That's a good way of promoting and prompting those folks. Actually, that's not how I got started. I was in the Rotary Club on High Point for 10 years and never gave a dime to the foundation. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I did. And one day, Nito Cabana came in on a rare visit to the club and presented me with a Paul Harris Fellow. I was honored, but I was also embarrassed. And on the way back to my seat, I passed our foundation chair and said, "I want you to hang around after the meeting. I've got a check for you because I want to make my wife a Paul Harris Fellow." And that's what got me on the curve to really support the Rotary Foundation the way I do now. So points transfers, helping somebody else with the idea that they're paying it forward. You're helping them to help others. Now, in In the endowment side of things, there are a couple of levels. There's a benefactor level. That's $1,000. And these all go to the endowment fund. $1,000 can be included now, you can pay it now, or you can have a letter of intent. It does not need to go in your will, just a letter of intent that is with the individuals who are settling your estate. This is what I want to do, and here and where it's to go. And hopefully, they'll do it. I remember when I was executive secretary of our club, 2 of the spouses would not do it because it wasn't in the will. But generally speaking, it's honored. The other one is bequest society, and there are various levels of bequest. Level 1 is 10,000, level 2 is 25, 3 is 50. But this one, with the application, you need to say how that's going to be funded. Is it going to be funded through a life insurance policy? Is it going to be included as codicil in the will? There are any number of ways it can be done. But they want you to mark how that's to be done, fulfilled. Then, as I mentioned earlier, the arch plumb is $250 on top. The third fund is polio. This one is the one that is clearly dear to my heart. I have been supporting that since 1985 when the first polio campaign came about and was announced. Our district raised a bundle on that first campaign, and they have supported it strongly since. One interesting note that 100% of all contributions to the polio program, there is no administrative expense. That's taken from another area. Any of the expenses, 100 cents go to polio. We have reduced the polio outbreak dramatically. There are 2 epidemic countries now, Afghanistan and Pakistan. There was a case that went to India this past year, and that was due to a plane ride. Keep in mind that a lot of these countries don't have the requirements on vaccinations that we do. And there was also a case, does anybody remember where that was? New York. And that was traced to contaminated water. The child was better now, and they cleaned up the rack as far as the water is concerned. So it is, we're close. We're very, very close to eliminating that. But we've got to keep up the pressure, keep up with the work that we have been doing, or it's going to come back with a vengeance. And thanks to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for every dollar you contribute, they're matching it 2 for 1. The money that they have raised for Bolton is outstanding. That money is not only coming from individuals, but it's also coming from governments too. They have gotten involved in this. So that's. Now, on the Paul Harris Society, I want to go back to that. There are a number of ways that this can be done. Think of it as sitting down and writing a check for $1,000 a year, that could be a little strenuous. But it can be done for as little as $85 a month. And I used to tell them a story when I was drinking a lot of coffee, which I'm now not permitted to do. I would start off at Starbucks in the morning, and I'd have coffee all day long. I always bought a car that had loads of cup holders, because by the end of the day, they were going to be filled with coffee cups. And on the way home at night, I'd stop at Starbucks again. How much do you think I spent just at Starbucks in the course of a month? A heck of a lot more than $85. I'm thinking, this can be put to better use. So you can do it $85 a month. That would go through what's called RI Direct. We can set you up on that, and your credit card is charged $85 a month. It also can do a bank draft. It takes a little bit more effort, but it can be done bank draft-wise. Also, we have a member of our club who does not want to do RI Direct. So every month, he sends a check to our executive secretary for $85, and she has to turn around and fill out the paperwork and get it on in. She's happy to do it because he is a Paul Harris Society member. Then you can do $250 a quarter. Again, that can be done through RI Direct. Hopefully, it would not be an issue to have that included on your quarterly bills. Then, as I said, annual. Now, there's another way of doing it. RMD. I see a blank look on the younger members.
Not on me.
Not on me either. I can tell the age range of everybody in here. If I'm getting the blank look, what the heck is RMD? For us old codgers, or older, more mature members, we know what RMD is. It's required minimum distribution. And that is where you can take $1,000 out of what is required that you take out of your retirement fund every year. And it can go directly to the Rotary Foundation. And that basically, that R&D money reduces your income. It's not counted as a charitable contribution. It actually reduces your income by that amount. That works out a little bit better. So there are a number of reasons. You can talk to David about it. Again, I want to applaud you for the 16 that you have. In fact, you have one member who's an honorary member. And he had been giving $1,000 a year. And David and I got into a conversation one day, and I said, in fact, he wasn't a member. He had resigned. And I said, David and I were talking about it, and I said, why don't you bring him back as an honorary member and ask him to become a member of the Paul Harris Society? He basically has been doing $1,000 a year anyway, and he did. So now, something about the foundation that I think is extremely strong. It's the management of the foundation. I have my own foundation and use Charity Navigator constantly. I am on Charity Navigator at least twice a week, reviewing grant requests that I get. Rotary Foundation for a number of years has been given 4 stars. That's the top rating that you can get with Charity Navigator. There are a couple of measured indices that go into that. Both of those get 100%. That is very, very rare with Charity Navigator. It's an amazing organization. And it's also listed in the 10 top charities that everybody's heard of. They're well-known, well-respected. When you think that the trustees of the foundation are made up of some of the strongest financial minds from around the world, your money is well managed and well spent. The whole idea is to get it back down to the club level. They have certain things that you have to follow. The other thing about the foundation and the grants, it is Rotary districts working with Rotary districts or multiple districts. Guess who isn't involved? Governments. Rotary districts, Rotary clubs know where the needs are in their communities. So they reach out and try to partner with other districts on these global grants. As I said earlier, minimum is a 30,000 and they go up from there. And our district is involved in quite a few global grants. And you know how to do it. So I can open it up now for any questions that you might have. I'll try to answer. Yes. Okay. Well, I do appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
David, thank you so much. It's always so interesting to hear about the work of the foundation and the reach that the foundation has across the world and right here in our community. And I think it's one of the things that as Rotarians we should be quite proud of. And so, just again to point out how the foundation supports Rotary's vision in uniting people and taking action across the world. So if you will rise. And as we walk out the door today and live our life for next week until we meet again, we will keep in the front of our minds in all the things we think, do, or say. Let us ask ourselves first,
With your truth, if they are all concerned, will no goodwill and better friendships will be beneficial to all concerned.